Okay, we're going to look at the pitch head haul or the hanging haul. The pitch head haul is conceptually a weird one to think about. You're hauling the dummy up and sending them straight back down. But you have to imagine your casualties sitting in a confined space or something like that. So you'll notice I've got a diagonal tension line set up here. I'm going to send him away from the confined space once we get him up here. So the first thing we're going to do is install the ASAP lock onto the casualties backup line once we're in position there. You'll notice as well I'm in aid, separated from the system. This keeps everything super clean and easy to see. I'll install my ID, or this is a rig, but any descender you're using to haul. And because the rope is tight, the rope that the casualty is suspended on, we're going to send an extra line down. So we're going to install a rescue sender attached to a third hauling line. The arrow pointing towards the load. We're going to send that rescue sender all the way down. It's going to touch just the top of that hand descender. And then we install the rope into the ID. And it's important to make sure it's installed the correct way, the correct orientation. So once you've loaded it up, you want to function test that line. Pull down as if the dummy has fallen and make sure that that descender locks. Now when you pull it tight, it should come through nice and easy. Okay, once the rope's tight through the ID, you can lock that handle. And now we're going to build the mechanical advantage on the tail rope of that line we've just installed. You see I kind of eyed out that 3-to-1 at first. It's going to look a little bit weird, but I'm going to put the top pulley in first, so you have to imagine that the bottom pulley's there. Put the top pulley in first. Now I install the second part here, the pulley hand descender combo. There's less of a chance of dropping it. Clip that hand descender into the pulley, and I can install the hand descender onto the main hauling line that I've just installed. Keep everything one unit. Okay, now that's my 3-to-1 mechanical advantage. So that's it for the setup. We're ready to start hauling once we install our personal hand descender and foot loop on the tail end of that rope. That's just going to make the life a lot easier for everybody. And rather than shrinking up that foot loop, we'll just clip the foot loop in and half that loop stand in the middle, just to shrink it up. And I'm just moving the haul rope out of the way so you guys can see what's going on, but you could leave that where it was as well. Okay, now once your foot is in that foot loop, you've got control of the tail rope. So now you can unlock the handle. Try and find a rhythm here. If you unlock the handle, your foot's on control of that rope. You can stand and pull. Now pull the back up through, and you can clip that into the redirect beater once you have enough slack. Now that makes sure the ASAP is in a good orientation. We'll stand and pull. Now push the hand descender down and lift your foot up. Gives you a good rhythm. And because it's a 3-to-1, you'll lose some efficiency there, so you'll have to move your foot hand descender up a little bit right there to reset. And repeat that process. If you do 2 pulls of the haul and then 1 pull through the backup, is usually a decent rhythm. Definitely make sure that the casualties backup does not go below fall factor 1. Repeat that process. Now that the casualty's Kong is in frame, you can see where we want to keep that in relation to the dummy. Now you see I can't push my hand ascender down any further here, so I have to keep resetting my personal hand ascender to get the last bit of height there. And now you can see that Kong's in about factor 1. I'm going to pull through the backup line a bit more. Keep that nice and high. Okay, and you can see in my hauling rope I've got those pulleys butted up against each other, but I still have all that length of rope coming out of the ID that I could still get my casualty a bit higher. So if I take that hand ascender off, just slide that mechanical advantage down and clip to the carabiner of the rescue sender. Now I've cleared a little bit of space there so I can get the dummy a little higher. Unlock the handle and haul the rest of the way. Okay, the pulleys butt up against each other again. Lock off that ID. Okay, and now I can just clean up my hauling system. Casualties as high as I'm going to get them. So clean everything up so I can see what's going on. And I'll just install that friction carabiner for the lower. Kind of thinking ahead there, but that way I won't forget it. Okay, and if I pull all my ropes apart, you can kind of see what's going on here. I've got the dummy on 2 points. So I need to add a third point. This is where the kind of magic happens. So if you're clever, you'll put a Grion on the dummy and use that as the third connection. That's I can haul him up, I can lower him out. I won't stick him on a cow's tail. So now he's got 3 points. Once he's on 3 points, I can remove his backup device, his original backup device from the line. I'm going to leave my hauling ASAP in place, exactly where it was, and I'm going to pull all the slack through that. So I get him right to the ends of his ropes. So now it's making a little bit more sense. He was suspended halfway up his ropes, let's say, and now we're tying him into the end so we can put him all the way back to the ground. Otherwise, he'll just be let right where we got him from. So I'll use the end of that rope, tie him into the sternal. It's important, especially for the backup, that it goes through the sternal device, or through the sternal D-ring rather. I'm going to tie him in with a barrel knot. It's a quick and dirty knot for an escape and a rescue. And I'll cinch that nice and tight. Okay, and now we're back on 3 points. The ASAP line has been tied into the sternal, still on the Grion and the main point. So now I can begin to mess with the main line. The easiest way to get the casualty off their crawl is just to lower out the hauling line. That means the dummy will come down onto the Grion. Now always start at the bottom, remove the casualty's crawl, then their hand ascender, and then you can remove the hauling rope you sent down with the rescue sender there. Okay, now a good check, I'm going to pull all that slack through, is that the casualty's main line is completely free. So if it's still in his crawl, he'll be stuck exactly where we pulled him from. It's very important that you clear that line. Now I can just use the hauling line that I pre-rigged and lower the casualty with that. So I'm going to clip that also to the sternal. Okay, I'll take all the slack back up through that ID. Lock the handle. 1, 2, 3 points. And now because he's on a Grion, I can just lower him off that Grion. Now if that was a cow's tail, I would haul him up a little bit more to remove the cow's tail, and then we can lower him to the ground. Now this won't necessarily be expected of you on assessment day, but this is the demonstration of moving the casualty away from the confined space. So I'm clipping him into those diagonal tension lines with the Grion. I'm going to make a second point with the casualty's Kong lanyard, or duck lanyard, depending on what backup they're using. 2 points to the diagonal line, 2 points to the lowering system, and we can send the casualty to safety.